Hi, I'm Martin McGrath, Financial Edge Group. We specialise in investments and all things retirement. Got a question the other day, so I thought I'd shoot a quick little video, and it was basically along the lines of, what's better? Should I have my money in cash? Should I have it in shares? What about this property? Should I look at that as well? And the answer is, it depends. There's no right or wrong answers. I could have 3 different clients, each have, say, $1 million, one in cash, $1 million in property, $1 million in shares. Is that the best or the right thing? Well, for them, each of it could be. But I want to give you a bit of insight into that. Shares, property and cash all move and operate a little bit different. Cash gives us some certainty. Can't go down in value. Not going up in value, but can't go down. So typically I'd want to have some money in cash or allocation of cash for money we're going to need in the near term. Short-term stuff. What does short-term look like? Everyone's a bit different, but I'd say typically, definitely anything in the next 12 months, we want that in cash. Probably anything really in the next 3 to 5 years, depending on your stage of life, we want that in cash. Does it mean we might miss out on some potential growth or extra return between now and then? Maybe, but what it will do is it'll protect us against the downside. I've seen people make mistakes of trying to put an extra $10,000, $20,000, $50,000 into some shares, hoping they can make an extra $2,000 or $3,000 between now and then. The wrong time of the market, the wrong shares, all that kind of stuff, and the money they put in is now worth less. They would have been better off leaving it in cash, not doing anything to it. On the flip side, if I don't need that money for 5, 10, 20 years, do I want that in cash? Definitely not. It can't grow, as we've talked about. In fact, because of inflation, it actually goes backwards. So what a dollar buys you now is less than what a dollar will buy you in 10 years' time, because basically everything will cost more. So money that you don't need for 5, 10 plus years, we don't want that in cash. We want that in something else. Is it property? Is it shares? History's kind of shown us that they basically return about the same over a long period of time, on average. An average share versus an average property. Now within that, there's no average. There's different types of shares, there's different types of property. Is it a townhouse? Is it a unit? Is it residential? What state's it in? Same with the shares. Is it in a bank? Is it overseas? All that kind of stuff. But on average, they return about the same. So it really depends on how much we've money got to invest. Are we borrowing it? All that kind of stuff in terms of which one we're picking. I would usually suggest we want a bit of both. It depends if we can do that. But either of those allocation is fine. So short term, cash makes sense. Longer term, other assets make sense. So it's important to know, what are we using that money for? So going back to the original question, when someone asked, what should I do with it? I said, well, when do you need it? What are you doing with it? If it's for retirement, let's look at some shares or property. If you need it next year to buy your house or loan it to someone or give it to your kids, that kind of stuff, leave it in cash. So things are a little bit complex around that, etc. But in general, short-term cash, longer-term growth assets, that's where things should be. If that makes sense to you, if you want to reach out and find out a little bit more, feel free to do so. There's plenty of content and video on our websites, YouTube channels, and social media where we're kind of explaining this kind of stuff for you guys to get insight into how all this works.